Hey, what's up, XO? I am Doc Russo Jr. I am the admin for the Weekend XO discussion group, and this is the final part of my kind of three-part series or breakdown that I was making for the album After Hours. And as I mentioned in the previous videos, the name of this portion is called The Revelation. Now, the reason why I call this The Revelation, or these particular songs, or these particular groupings of songs to Revelation, is because he kind of, because I believe in these songs, I believe he realizes what he is and who he is, and he realizes kind of like his internal, I don't know if you say calling, but he learns who he is, he realizes who he is, he realizes, or at least he feels like he knows what he's destined for and what he's kind of destined to do and what he's destined not to do. Now this, yeah, yeah, what he's not to do. Now, as always, make sure you checked out the previous two videos before watching this, just so you can be kind of caught up and it's not all over the place. And lastly, a disclaimer, which I said in other ones, this is only my opinion and my interpretation. So, if you don't agree, it's alright. But we can still have a discussion because it is a discussion group. The group is called The Weekend XO Discussion, and it really does grow the group. So, let's start it out. So, we left off with, what the heck did we leave off with? The song we left off with was Save Your Tears from that portion of the album, or part two, which was the return. Remember I told you in that video is where essentially she gave him one more chance. Well, not that one. Prior, In Your Eyes, she gave him one more chance. He screwed up. Save Your Tears, she seen him, or he seen her. She was enjoying her life. She essentially moved on from him. And he's kind of caught off guard by this because now his safety switchers, his safety net isn't there for when he's coming down and when he's falling. And that leads into part three, the revelation. That goes into the song In Repeat. Well, Repeat After Me. And in the song Repeat After Me, it pretty much confirms that his lover finds someone else, and Abel's jealous. He's very jealous because he's like, oh shoot, she actually found somebody. His version could be better, we don't know, but she found happiness. Or at least she found an acquaintance that's different than him, and that's something that really put him off. Very much so. So what Abel does to kind of try to put her down, or at least big himself up, is like he's saying, well, I know she has a lot of love for me, and I'll always be on her mind. There's no way this guy that she's met like a week or two ago, or even a month ago, can take my place. So what he's saying is, well, kind of justifies emotions or kind of make him feel good. And even to put her down, he's saying, hey, you don't love him if you're thinking of me. You're just fucking him. It means nothing to me. Again, kind of following that theme of what let's say, kind of reminds me of the knowing, in essence, where he's accepting the knowing. He kind of didn't care. He knew what was going on, but he was like, me too. But in this, he does care, but he's suppressing it. He's still trying to put up that facade, or that image that he doesn't care and that he's heartless, so to speak. But we all know as we continue to go down this trail. And that leads into one of his bonus tracks, Missed You. I Miss You. That song, you might say the theme of it, it seems like it should go all the way in the beginning, and which it could have. Because I contemplated putting it towards the beginning. But when I really listen to it, and I really kind of look into lyrics and hear the context of it, and I think about the context of how I'm grouping these songs into different portions and parts in the timeline. This Miss You song kind of sounds like a dream. At least the second verse does. So I'm going to the first verse of that song. Or the first portion of the song, he's talking about how he's again supplementing for not having this lover by having other women. And material things, obviously. But these women all feel the same to him. As a common theme of this album, all these things are feeling the same. The material high that he's gotten, those material girls that had everything he needs. Now it's just now that I have everything, and I've had everything for a while, get complacent. Well, I shouldn't say complacent. Bored with it. You get bored with it. You don't want to keep playing with the same toy over and over and over as a child. But now he knows this lover is truly gone. He really misses her, obviously. In the previous songs, so that's another reason why I put this towards the end rather than the beginning. Even though it could be placed in the beginning. But the reason why I elected to put this all the way down here is because in the previous songs, he saw his lover as a victim. But also an enabler. What I mean by that is, he knew she was a victim. Hey, a victim to him, he already knows that. But he also saw her as an enabler because she kept letting him back in. She kept accepting him, even after he screwed her over, even after he does all this, even after he lives his life, he always just harkens back to her. And she accepted him, so it made him an enabler. It made her an enabler. And in essence, I like that word, in essence, what happened is that he justifies what he does because he's like, well, if you don't like it, don't accept me. But it's kind of a tenfold thing because he's saying if you don't like it, don't accept me. You accept me, which means you accept me for what I am. Just taking him as he is. And also just kind of working her mind, manipulating her. Saying like, hey, you ain't gonna find anybody. You ain't gonna find another one like me. And he essentially justifies hurting her through the beginning. However, at this point in the song, or at this point, which makes me place this song, because like I said, he said a lot of things in the beginning that was short of an apology. He never really apologized like that. He's just like, oh, and I did wrong, but oh well. But this song, Miss You, the reason why it goes all the way to the bottom is because he finally accepts that he was the one that held her back from happiness and that he doesn't deserve her. This key words is that he doesn't deserve her. That's what he finally realizes. It's amazing how much you realize when that person's gone. Like officially gone. And that leads into the second portion of the song, or verse 2. Now this part is another reason why I put it a little bit at the end. It's because I believe the second part of Miss You is actually a dream. And it's the dream that he had and that he wakes up from in the After Hours song. He talks about how this lover actually waited for him, in which She waited for him to get better. She waited for him to change. She waited for him to be the guy that she wanted him to be. She waited for that potential to finally turn into kinetic energy. Science. But never materialized. But she actually waited because she kept accepting him back, thinking that he changed, but he did not. And in fact, she called out his name. Had to throw that in. And took him in again. The reason why I suspect this verse is a dream is because the scenario sounds almost too perfect to be true. Especially if you had the context of the entire album or the entire context of the plot. Because at the end of the song, he's sitting there talking about, like, essentially showing up to her dang doorway, or showing up to her door. She opens it up and welcomes him with open arms and all that stuff. She's like, hey, come in. He's like, that's just unrealistic. You know that didn't happen. Or won't happen. At least, like, not. It sounds like a dream. It had to have been a dream, in my opinion, because the context of the album, like I said, the prior songs, he had no remorse, really. He said he's wrong, but you also was an accomplice to this. But this song, which differs this from the beginning songs, is he's like, now he's showing remorse and he knows that he's no good for her. And he accepts that he's no good for her, and he kind of accepts that pretty much he needs somebody else, or that he accepts that he's no good for her. And so the second verse of him just magically appearing at her doorway, her accepting him and stuff like that, that's not real. That's his dream. That's something he dreams of. And also, just kind of a bonus thing, if you take the last 10 to 15 seconds of that song, it kind of echoes into the darkness, and it kind of echoes into After Hours, the song, at least. So I kind of think those songs are linked, where that's the dream that he wakes up from. Because he goes to sleep trying to, well, this goes into After Hours, obviously. So in After Hours, he misses this lover. After Hours, the song. And actually, I'm going to start off, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, I love this song, After Hours. This is definitely in my top 3 songs by The Weeknd. I love After Hours. Because when this song dropped, I did. So he had released, like, what? Prior to this, he released Blinding Lights. Well, Heartless first and Blinding Lights. I really do like those songs. But I was still on the fence because I didn't know how this album was going to be. He had 2 entirely different tones of songs. I didn't know how this album was going to be when it dropped. So I was kind of nervous. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, boy. Because Abel doesn't miss. We know that he doesn't miss, but damn it. I get a little nervous sometimes. I'm like, oh, boy. These songs are hot. But I'm like, man, he needs to sell me on something else. Gotta sell me on something else. Just kind of to cement that I'm like, this is going to be a great album. So I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know. Then he dropped this song, After Hours, and oh boy. Oh boy, I got that notification on YouTube, put the buds in my ear, listened, laid on the floor, turned off the light, listened, and needless to say, my shirt was soaked. My eyes too. Man, that song. But in this song, he misses his lover. Can I also say, I love this song. I love how he broke that song up into like essentially 3 different parts. It's like starts off low, goes high, goes off into the sunset, or actually not even sunset, darkness. Because it's sad. But yeah, this song. The song After he misses his lover, and the only way he can get close to his lover again is in his dreams. And the only way he can forget is by getting high. Now he realizes that the high that he wants, this high can't be sustained. It can't be obtained either. You can't keep doing these drugs without dying, or at least ODing. Can't have that much in your system. And also, you keep building a tolerance for it where it doesn't even affect you anymore. So, not like it used to do. So you realize is that this stuff is unobtainable, especially after these OD scares and stuff like that. And even in these places of party that he's going to, this nightlife stuff, he's now feeling alone. Everything's the same, all the material, lies, things, everything's the same to him. Everything. And oh boy. That was, I don't know, that's random. Random moment of silence for how great that song is. How great After Hours song is. My favorite song on the album. And also, he needs to do a damn video. He needs to drop a video for that song. Or heck, even a live performance for After Hours song. That's all I gotta say. This house is not a home without my baby. Alright. Now we go into Until I Bleed Out. Now in this song, he's sick of getting high. Like I said, he's like, screw, I shouldn't have to get high to forget about this person. I shouldn't have to get high to not think about this person. I shouldn't have to keep destroying myself to forget about X person. He doesn't want that. At some point, it all gets old. At some point, it all gets old. Like he said it towards the end of Faith, he looks inside the mirror and sees someone he loves. You know, time hasn't been kind to him. Like I said, these drugs are destroying him physically and mentally. The lifestyle, nighttime lifestyle, all that stuff is destroying him physically and mentally. You just can't keep up with it. It's unsustainable. And really, the only way that he feels to stop this is by hurting himself, in essence, killing himself, cutting himself, and bleeding out. He did kind of teeter with that in Snow Child. He's talking about if he didn't make it, then he'd probably make his wrist bleed. Or something like that. In Snow Child, he's talking about that. And now it's just like, so he already had a suicidal tendency back then, but he found ways to kind of cope. But now it's like his safety net is gone. All his stuff is, everything that he had is gone. His chance at happiness is gone. Or at least he feels his chance at happiness is gone. So he cuts himself in an attempt to take his life. He's bleeding out. And that goes into the final song on this review, or breakdown actually, not a review, because I'm not judging. If for a review, this is like a 15 out of 10, 20 out of 10. But it's not a review. It's a breakdown. So the final song on there is Final Lullaby. And oh god, this song took me for a ride. I'm not saying the song itself, but I'm like, whoa, did this man really just do that? Did he make a song that you could rock your child to sleep with? Oh boy. Man, this song is something you sing to your children. But not in the context of what I'm about to break down. Now in this song, he's in Final Lullaby, he's coming to terms. He's coming to terms with dying or with bleeding out and with he's coming to terms with bleeding out. He's coming to terms with dying. He's coming to terms with letting himself go. He's coming to terms with giving up. He's coming to terms that he'll never be back with this woman or this lover. He's coming to terms with all that stuff. And finally, he's just going to put himself out. Whether he actually kills himself, which I think he possibly does. Certainly, he has a revelation, which is why this portion of the thing, this portion is called Revelation. But this song, Final Lullaby, he puts himself to sleep. puts those fantasies to sleep. He comes to terms with himself. And whether he kills himself or not, it's up in the air. That's the last song. But wait. But wait. My theory, and some other people's theories also, because I've seen this around too, is that after Final Lullaby, the last song, Alone Again comes up again. It cycles back to Alone Again. And when you've seen in some of those videos like Snow Child and stuff like that, and Until I Bleed Out and stuff, I think it was Until I Bleed Out, and then it's kind of Snow Child the same, but he falls and then goes back into the city and stuff like that. So Alone Again. So what I'm saying is that the theory is that he cycles back to Alone Again. It all restarts, the entire thing. It starts off with him in Vegas and him realizing, it starts off with him in Vegas in his happy place. He's getting tore up and stuff. He took off that disguise, that facade that he had, and he gets super high, and now he's buying these women or call girls, and he's trying to be around them and just not to feel alone, because he always feels alone. He tries to go back to his lover and all that stuff. Yada, yada, yada. He goes through this full stretch of songs that I just gave you, or went through. And he puts himself to sleep, comes to terms with himself, and cycles back, where after that he picks himself back up. Because if he comes to terms with he's not going to find that love and all this stuff, let's say he doesn't kill himself. Let's just say he's just like, all right, I'm unlovable. I won't have this person anymore. And he gets that itch again. After the withdrawals, he starts to get the itch again, and he travels back to Vegas. And starts the cycle over again. I love that song Alone Again too. I love all these songs. Now, to sum it up, I broke this breakdown into 3 different parts. The attempt, in which he still sponsors the idea of love and happiness. He makes somewhat of an effort to get and maintain love, but he doesn't feel like himself. He feels like he's in a disguise. It's not him. And eventually he kind of allows his lover to branch out, or enables her to branch out. The part 2, the return, he goes back to his usual ways. He relapses. He goes back to this lover, but she's experienced new things, life without him. She accepts him one more time. He screws up again. She won't accept him anymore. She won't love him for a second time. He moves to Vegas to live out his fantasy, to go to his happy place. But he always harkens back to her because he really does miss her. And he does realize that she's found someone else. So he's kind of like, fuck, I'm alone permanently when I'm coming down. That leads into Revelations. He feels the effect of not having this lover and actually being alone. Because now, at first when he was just leaving, he was alone, but he wasn't alone. But now he's actually alone because he has no safety net. He sees that she's living life without him and moved on, like I said. And he can't get her back anymore, so he ultimately kills himself. Or at the very least comes to terms with who he is. He has a self-revelation of what he is. Now that is my breakdown. And like I said, this is my interpretation of the album. I understand that others have different interpretations, but like I said, I don't mind having a discussion. Because nobody's wrong in their interpretation, because it's all about how you taking the album. Once again, I'm the admin of, once again, I'm Dr. Russo Jr., the admin of the Weekend XO discussion group, and this was my After Hours breakdown. Thank you for watching. Also, I like this bag right here. Thank you, Michelle. That's from Michelle, my significant other. There's another one too. Oh yeah, thank you. Nice, yeah, nice for watching. Thanks for watching.